There we go. Okay, look, thanks everyone for joining us here this afternoon. What I'll do, I've started recording just so we can share this with other members that haven't been able to join us or maybe later in joining us, and also so that you can use this recording to share the outputs or the discussions today with the rest of your team and get them enthused about what we're going to be presenting. But certainly today is more about hearing more about the ongoing development of the association's three-year strategy, and it's focusing on creating a more sustainable local food and drink supply chain, and which now has actually complete buy-in from Scottish Government and our industry partners at SWA and Scotland Food and Drink, who are helping us deliver some of those actions. But in order for us to achieve those objectives for the industry, we need complete buy-in from you, our members, and who we are here to help protect, develop, and prosper. So today is all about you and the opportunities the SWA are creating to help you develop your own decarbonisation journey, and opportunities to enable you to grow your business in new ways, all the time ensuring that we're facing forward and looking at the future demands of your customer, the consumer, and even the government aspirations. Before I pass you over to Ylva, our Head of Sustainability, who will kick things off, today's session has been split into two distinct areas: our decarbonisation of the wholesale industry project and baseline emissions report, and secondly, our delivering growth through wholesale training and education programme. After each section, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions and answers, so please get involved, raise your hands, or put your questions in the chat box. And yeah, I think that's it. I've said I'm going to record this, so I will now actually pass you over to Ylva. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colin. Good to see you all here on this call. Good to meet you. So straight into it, why are we launching the survey today? Well, we know there are many people in the sector already doing great work to reduce their environmental impact. But we also know there are many who haven't started that journey yet to net zero and are unsure about where to begin. So that's why we're working, first of all, together with the FWD, Federation of Wholesale Distributors, on a UK-wide roadmap to net zero for the UK sector as a whole. In addition to that wider UK work, by gathering your information through this survey that we're launching here today, we'll be able to paint a picture of the sector here in Scotland, where the hotspots are, where we need to focus our action, and also the support and advice that we need to provide from the SWA to our members. So having that Scottish specific report on our carbon emissions and the motivations, the barriers that members are facing, means that we will be able to speak very clearly to the Scottish Government and others about the support the sector will need to reach net zero. So I guess from me, obviously, I'm very happy to talk anytime about this if you want to reach out to me separately. But for now, just to say thank you very much in advance for taking part in the survey. And let me hand over now to Emily from our partners, Three Keel, who we're working on this. Thank you, Emily.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you all. I'll just share my screen quickly because I've got a couple of slides. I won't be able to see anybody once I move this into presenter mode. So if anybody has any questions, either just feel free to jump in, or maybe my colleague Laura can just keep an eye on everyone. If you've got a hand up or in the chat box, she can interrupt me. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Great. Okay, so yeah, thanks Ylva and Colin for the introduction. That was really helpful context. And yes, kind of this project is a complementary add-on and also independent of the FWD net zero strategy that we're currently working on. To give you a bit of a background about Three Keel, Three Keel is a sustainability consultancy based in Oxford, and we also have a London offshoot now. The business is made up of 7 practice areas, which covers all aspects of sustainability, from supply chain and commodities, regenerative agriculture, and climate change, which is where this project sits. The climate change practice area primarily works with clients to understand kind of their carbon footprint, set targets, and then also provide that additional support through design and implementing carbon reduction initiatives and net zero roadmaps as kind of a key focus for us moving forward. The project team, now it's decided to freeze. There we go. there's three of us in the project team. I'm Emily, I'm a consultant and I'm managing the project. And then we've got Rich, who's a founding partner and is project director, and he's on hand today for any kind of more technical questions. And Laura, who's a junior consultant and is helping me with a lot of the delivery of the project. All three of us work in that climate change practice area. Working in the food and drink sector mainly on carbon footprinting and roadmaps. So the project itself, this is the timeline. We kicked off in February, and then today, 3rd of March, we're presenting you with we've called it a draft launch because it's pretty much there, but we thought it was really important to get some feedback from the members on, because you'll be the ones completing in it, to make it as user-friendly as possible, and also to capture all the information and make sure that we've got data on everything that you guys are doing, so that it's built into a report on how to recommend, the appropriate thing, both to members and to governments. The deadline for the survey is the 24th of March. So that gives you approximately 3 weeks time. We're hoping to share the survey at the start of next week once we've finalized any remaining tweaks and feedback from this session. And then following on from the data collection phase, we'll spend April and May compiling results and identifying key trends to incorporate into the policy recommendations. And the report and project will be wrapped up in June. So moving on to the structure of the survey itself, what's the focus? So the focus is understanding your emissions and also your climate progress to date. If we just look at the diagram on the right, this may or may not be familiar to people, depending on whether you've reported your emissions before. But this is the Greenhouse Gas Protocol Scope 3 standard, which splits emissions sources into 3 scopes. And within the scopes, there are various subcategories. Scopes 1 and 2 tend to relate to your own operations. So scope 1 is typically fleet, energy used by your buildings, emissions from refrigerant leakage, that sort of thing. And then scope 2 relates only to purchased electricity. So if you're investing in any renewable energy, it's accounted for in that scope. And then scope 3, apologies. Scope 3 is everything up and down your supply chain. This relates to everything from everything materials you purchase, packaging, waste, any purchase logistics, as well as employee operations such as commuting and business travel. So generally, when we're talking about greenhouse gas accounting and carbon accounting, we're talking about them within these scopes. And the primary focus for this report is scope 1 and 2, because they are your direct emissions, and those are the emissions that relate solely to you and won't be accounted for by anybody else. There's 4 key kind of focuses to the survey. The first is a quantitative data collection on energy or carbon data, which is the scope 2 I just mentioned. Then there's a couple of basic questions on scope 3, if that's something you've considered, but that tends to be kind of the next step along the timeline for a lot of organizations once they've tackled their scope 1 and 2 emissions or begun to understand them, because it's just that one step further removed. So there's a slightly smaller set of questions on them, as it's not quite the focus for this project. The third is on climate strategy questions and KPIs, which aligns with the roadmap. And then the fourth is a section on barriers and motivations into taking action on carbon reduction, so that we can kind of get a bit more qualitative insight into where you are at in the journey. And then before we get into the survey itself, we just wanted to highlight a few points on the data confidentiality side of things. Once you've filled in the survey, it'll be sent back to us at 3Keel, where we'll keep it on our Google Cloud server under a two-factor authentication system, which only us 3 in the project team will be able to access. The raw data won't be shared with SWA. However, there is a kind of tick box opt-in on the survey. So if you are happy with your data to be shared, then yeah, please let us know, and then we can share it wider. If not, there's no pressure. It's completely up to you. Finally, the third point is that the raw data is going to be aggregated, so we'll never use any of the raw data per organization in any of the reporting at all. This is kind of an idea to get this is data to collect of a subset of members to extrapolate up to the whole of Scottish Wholesale. So it's more to understand the structure of the emissions rather than to report on individual company emissions. Secondly, the data collection process. We've designed it in an Excel format because we were really keen that it was super easily accessible and shareable between and around the business. It covers a whole range of topics from buildings to fleet, refrigerants, and then also strategy and governance. So it typically won't be the same person that's the best person to complete all different parts of the survey. So with that in mind, we wanted it to be easily accessible, and multiple people can collaborate on it at once. You can come and go and collect the data, share it around, pass it around, and have it all in one place as well. So that's why we thought that the Excel would be the best option. But of course, if you have any questions or any feedback, we're more than happy to hear them. So then the survey structure itself. I might have to do this manually. There we go. So this is what it will look like when you open it. There's 4 tabs across the bottom. The first is an introduction tab, which contains a lot of information that I've been speaking about so far in this presentation. And then the 2 blue tabs are the quantitative data collection tabs relating to that scope 1 and 2 data that I was talking about previously. For this section, there are 2 options, and depending on your organization, you'll only need to fill in one of these data tabs. So the first one, emissions data, is for businesses who have calculated their scope 1 and 2 emissions data recently, and are able to provide that in tons of carbon or carbon numbers. The second is for organizations that haven't calculated their scope 1 and 2 either at all or not recently, and would rather provide activity data, which contains questions relating to operational activity and consumption of fuels, whether that's fleet or building, heating, electricity, refrigerant, so that and then we can work out the emissions from that. So there's only one tab to fill out of those 2. And then the 4th one is the barriers and motivations tab. This is the section that's unique for SWA, and it's for all businesses. So we request that everybody completes it. And it contains some more qualitative data collection, asking members to rank common barriers and motivations on a series of carbon reduction themes. But we'll go through the structure of the layout of that tab in a little bit. So within those first 2 blue tabs, the quantitative data collection for scope 1 and 2, this is the general layout that you'll see. So we've got these first two columns in the blue contain the category and the questions themselves, and boxes in orange indicate places for members to provide input. So you've obviously got your response or value, and then a unit column, and then notes if applicable. Please do try to provide units wherever possible or wherever applies. And similarly with the notes, if there's a unit in there that doesn't apply to you, then please change it and make a note of it, or providing information on how you prefer to report that metric, because it's really important for us to understand like what the data means, and then that we're inferring the correct analysis out of that. The final column in turquoise contains advice and some short explanations for each question to provide guidance on content if it's not super familiar or it's something you haven't come across before. It just contains definitions and places to look up for more information. So these, again, this is just the next level down. So once you had your category, these are the questions on your background information. The background information tab helps us to set the scene and collects information to ensure that we're mapping the data to the sector correctly. As mentioned before, please make sure to flag any definitions or inconsistencies in the note section, and also let us know which year you're providing data for, so that we can make sure that we're kind of making a like-for-like comparison, and we're all kind of singing off the same hymn sheet. The second section is a climate strategy section. This collects data on general climate action taken so far, from monitoring KPIs to questions on target setting and also future plans. The purpose of this section is to provide an indication of the progress to date, so we can assess what the best next steps are, and also provide the most helpful resources, and what feeds into a kind of where the sector is today, and what current progress and what's left on the agenda. So those 2 slides that I just showed you are common across both the emissions tab and the activity tab, so you'll fill them out regardless of which one you're completing, and then underneath that you'll have a series of questions on either the emissions or the activity. And finally, the barriers and motivations tab. This is the final slide on the survey structure, and this provides an example of how the barriers and motivations survey is laid out. So it's structured by theme, and there's 5 themes in total. So this is just an example of the second theme, which is decarbonisation of heat in buildings. But this structure is the same for all 5 themes, just copied down the sheet. All the barriers and motivations are listed on the left in the grey boxes, and then moving from left to right, you've got each theme listed and space to rank each one from strongest to weakest. There's also a space to provide your own barrier if none of them apply, or if they don't quite fit the bill, or you have any more notes to provide, then that's an opportunity for you in the bottom box here. The blue box underneath these has questions on current progress per action, and also kind of more qualitatively, like people's willingness to enact it, like where does it fall on the list of priorities, as it were. And another opportunity to list any actions that you're currently undertaking that we haven't captured in the list already. So this, to reiterate, this is for all of the organisations completing the survey. So that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, and I realised there was a lot of information to take on. But we are on hand for help and advice. We've got 3 main sources of advice. We've got the column in the spreadsheet, which just provides a brief overview, and then this webinar recording and the slides, which we will share afterwards. And in the slides that we're going to share afterwards, there are a few more detailed notes on each slide to provide some written feedback as well. And of course, you can contact us, you can contact any of us, but Laura is going to be overseeing the kind of responses and returns, so she would be your first port of call. So just to reiterate the key messages, there's 2 tabs that everybody needs to fill out, either an emissions or activity data tab and the barriers and motivations tab. And if you could provide data for your most recent year and let us know what that year is, that would be great. Please make full use of the notes column. It's really, really helpful. Even things that might seem obvious to you might not be obvious when compared to lots of different people, and people who aren't working in the sector. So as much information is great for us. Similarly for units, just keep an eye out. We know it's so easily done, and things have been some rounded up or rounded out and blah blah blah. So yeah, units is great as well, just to remind. And of course, come to us for help if you don't understand something, either us at 3 Keel or Ilva or Colin. We're more than happy to help. And again, we'll circulate these slides. So plan of action from now forward is to get a bit of feedback today, make a few final edits and release at the beginning of next week. And then deadline for submitting responses is the 24th of March. So that's everything from me. Does anybody have any questions?
Thanks, Emily. And please, it is vital that we get your feedback just now and concerns that you might have, but even more vitally, the report when we get it sent out. And as Emily has said, it probably seems complicated talking about it just now, but when you get the spreadsheet, it is fairly straightforward. Certainly as easy as we can make it, but in order to get the data we require to give a good output, a good report. And this, as Emily said at the start, is a Scottish emissions report that also feeds into the UK-wide report. So it is important that we are there and have that emission data to show not just Scottish government but UK government, because this is our tool that we will be using to get that financial support or grants or whatever the other support mechanisms might be that you come to us and ask for. This is what we will be using to enable that to take place. As seen during COVID, the information you provided us enabled £21 million of Scottish Government support directly to the wholesale sector. This is a similar exercise. And actually, Emily, what we didn't say is that the data that you provide will enable 3 Keel to work out your own carbon footprint, so that this is this is the first point or the start of your own decarbonisation journey. If you've not already done your Scope 1 or Scope 2 emissions collection, this will start and give you your baseline, not just the industries. I'm correct in saying that, Emily, am I not?
Yeah, that's a good point, Colin. Yeah, anybody who's filling out the activity data tab will work out your emissions, and yeah, I'm more than happy to share them back with you as well.
Excellent, thank you. And just to say as well, I know that a lot of the businesses here, members here are SMEs. That's why we're doing this, because the SME footprint is potentially different to that of the larger organisations, and where we've actually already started capturing their data. So the larger wholesale members within the SWA have already started on this journey. So it's not that anyone's being excluded. We've tried and tested this on the larger and then simplified it best we can for yourselves. So yeah, can we just open it up? Any questions from anyone? Silent.
Colin, yeah, I've got
Sam?
it's just something of interest that can all make sense. Something that I would like to see is a CO2 per kilogram delivered. I think for me that would be a very simple measure that we can compare how we're doing and measure progress as well. And I think it does encapsulate everything really. As wholesalers, we deliver lots of different products, but just a generic CO2 per kilowatt ton that we deliver would be a good measure that we can kind of plot. We don't need to see who the names are of the people that have got different figures, but it would be good to see where we sit, and that's a kind of spur to progress and improve. It just gives a standard. That I would like to see that. I think it would be simple. I think it might be helpful. I don't know if you've already collected that, Emily.
No, it's a good point, and we've had a lot of discussions over intensity metrics and how we could standardize it so we can benchmark companies. And there are a few different, actually I'm just going to end the show so I can see everybody. There's a few different options that we spoke about, and I think for this survey, which is slightly different to the FWD version, we've decided to include case count as well as a potential metric for comparison. And then we've also got revenue, so we can do it per unit of revenue as well. Yeah, Colin, I don't know what you think about kilo delivered.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, and certainly something that we've had a debate on. What is that industry standard? I guess the greenhouse gas protocol, or the greenhouse protocol, is the industry standard. But I think the difficulty comes that not all wholesalers deliver. So what happens to the case? Those are just traditional cash and carry.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, I think the standard, or as Emily said, we're going to go with pounds or revenue, case count, and even we've asked for square footage, so we can get an idea of what it is per square footage and within the membership. But yeah, I'm not sure somehow we would be able to differentiate or use a delivered weight when not everyone does deliveries, or it would be.
It would have to just be from delivered if we did that, but the biggest emissions come from the delivery. For delivery, cash and carry, it'll all be from downstream, getting it to your depot. After that, it's your customers that are picking up. But for us, who actually have the vehicles and are burning diesel, that's the biggest contributor to CO2.
I don't know, Emily. Obviously, we are capturing the details. Sorry, Richard. We are capturing the delivery vehicle details. Is there something that we can use what we're capturing in that element to correlate it to what we're? Obviously, we need to then get a weight of some sort, or.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, does case count? Does that? I know it's not a weight, but it's a unit of volume, more, I suppose. Would that Would that be good enough, or do you think weight is really more the determining factor?
For me, it's more weight, but for other people, maybe case count. But case counts can be all different sizes. They could be tiny and they can be huge. Whereas a kilo's a standard thing.
Yeah. I suppose this comes down to a little bit also data availability and to what extent is delivered weight data available across all businesses. I mean, maybe that's a common something that can be sort of collected centrally and is consolidated, so is easily collected. I suppose the thing we were a bit nervous on is kind of creating a lot of work and data collection analysis. That so any thoughts on that would be good. I mean, we can if it's relevant to the Scottish sector, then we could include that. I mean, it's very little effort for us. It's more on your side.
Well, it's easy for us in our system, and I think maybe some other members might have a similar system. We get that data every day. I can just 2 seconds, I can run that report and it'll tell me how much kilos or tons we've delivered in a month, a year, a week, whatever. So it's not hard to get that for us.
Okay.
is there any thoughts from anyone else on that, or what you might like to see as a sort of standard? Okay, I'll take that as no. Okay. And not putting you on the spot, Sam, because I know that you're already doing a lot of work in this area, but it's maybe just get an understanding of where other people are on that sort of decarbonisation journey. Is this certainly something that would start and enable you on that journey, or are you already on the journey and already have that data calculated, or specifically your own carbon footprints? If we can put that out to everyone. Don't be shy. Okay. Putting everyone in the spot. Well, this is a good recording. Okay.
It might help when people have seen the survey. Sometimes it's hard to relate if you haven't had eyes on it.
No, absolutely. And as I said at the start, it is as simple as we can make it, and don't feel daunted. The worst thing that you could do is just go on, I'm too scared to do anything. It looks too much, and just Bennett, please get in contact with myself or Ailva specifically, or Emily and Laura, because we will hold your hands through this. Even if it's a case of you actually don't want to fill it in, but you're happy to give us the details in respect of send us your electricity bill, your gas bill, your refrigerant leakage, etc., and we can help actually compile it for you. So it's important for us, for a sector, for the industry, that we get as much data as possible, and so that it is actually a true reflection of the emissions of the sector. What we don't want to be doing is being caught out for greenwashing. This needs to be representative and true, and we can only do that using the data that you provide. So we as a trade body are seen by government to be credible, trustworthy, and that's why we're getting the support from them. Not in this, but in what we're about to go on to in the next half of this session, and that financial investment that they're putting into our Delivering Growth programme. But before we go over there, any last minute questions before sort of wrap up this section? And Ailva, I don't know if you want to come back in and say anything. Apologies for taking over hogging the session there.
No, not at all. No, just to reiterate, thank you very much for your support. Please do get in touch. As Colin says, I'm here to support you, and so the team at 3 Keel. So don't hesitate to get in touch anytime. Look forward to speaking to you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Emily, Laura and Richard. We will be in contact, obviously, after this and next week, just to finalise the spreadsheet, and we'll get that out to members as early as we can after we've done a final few tweaks. But thank you very much, 3 Keel, and look forward to working with you over the coming months.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was the first half of the session, and actually we are ahead of schedule, so that means we can spend more time on the second half. But no, what I will do, John, you're in control of the next slide deck, so if you want to bring that up. Thank you.
Can everyone see okay?
Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Look, so this section's about the other elements of our strategy, and that of treating opportunities, shall we say, for our members and for the sector. So our Delivering Growth through Wholesale project kicked off about a year ago now. So I'll just do a quick intros, John, if you want to go into the next slides, so everyone knows who I am. So I'll just, let's say, quick introduction. I'll then pass over to to Fergus, who's one of our partners in delivering the programme. He's from SWA, and then you'll hear from John Ortiz, who I'm sure everyone knows, and who is chair of this training education programme. So, agenda for the next sort of 30 minutes or so. I'll just bring them up on my side. Today is obviously very much about you. I said that earlier on, the opportunities that we are creating to help you on your journey. So today we'll cover the context of the programme and how and why it was developed, what we've done today, its successes, and why it's important and indeed actually invaluable, an invaluable programme for the wholesale industry and for Scottish producers. We'll then cover off how it's aligned to the other activities of the association, the tools and the support available through the programme, eventually culminating in how you can get involved in this training and development programme and creating your own wholesale local food champions, and new development and the ongoing development and new development and the ongoing progress of the programme. So actually, I'm not going to take up any more time. I will pass over to John, as I said, as our Delivering Growth Through Wholesale Chair, and give you more detail on that. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on a Friday afternoon during quite challenging times for everybody, I'm sure. So the context, for those of you who are not up to speed with the programme, just a quick overview of the context of this. So this is a development that has been a collaboration with SEOS initially and the SWA members, where we have 8 wholesale members representing the cross-section of different types of wholesalers, of which we have several in the room today, which is great to see. And then we have Scotland Food and Drink joining to help the delivery of the programme with the producers. So it's basically looking to get a shared understanding of the channel for the producers, better communication, reduced time wasted and resources wasted in having to explain over and over again to producers, and a much more efficient and effective way of working when everybody's talking the same language. The programme helps educate and demystifies the wholesale channel for producers. So basically, and I'll cover some of the key points that we cover in the course for the producers and also for the local food champions, to help them understand better the channel and the opportunities that it presents. Really promoting a culture of partnership and working together rather than the sort of traditional buyer-seller relationships, and creating ultimately an environment of collective benefit so that everybody equally benefits throughout the supply chain. So a quick update on what we've been up to so far. We have run 4 programmes so far, so 4 batches of cohorts. The first 2 batches were at the beginning of last year, but this time last year. Each workshop comprises of 2 half days of workshop work. So we've then followed that up with a producer manual, which is a kind of reference manual, as an aid memoir, a tool that they can use thereafter. And then we support it because the half-day workshop and the working manual are sort of overviews of the sector. But every business, like you in wholesale, is very different, very unique. So what we do is we understand that, and we give the producer a 3-hour bespoke 1-to-1 session, either virtually or at their premises, and identify some of the challenges that they have in better understanding the channel. So to date, we've had around 90 producers of varying sizes go through the programme, and they vary, as I say, from startups all the way up to national producers. We followed up the first 2 sessions of workshops with a Meet the Wholesaler event in Dunblane, which was a first for us, and we've taken some really good learnings from that. And the SWA introduced the Local Supplier of the Year award, which was won this year by Summer House Soft Drinks, Claire from Summer House Soft Drinks. So really today is to try and highlight the commercial benefits for the wholesaler. So this is basically, hopefully, conveying that it's not just about doing the right thing or a nice thing to do. There's actually some commercial and strategic benefits for you as a wholesaler. So currently, the channel as a producer, they have choices in where they put their product, and producers being producers, as you probably would yourself, you lean towards the path of least resistance, or those channels that are more attractive to you. So there's a few examples of the main channels. So you've got export, retail multiple, discount retail, direct to consumer, direct to end user, and obviously at the bottom there, the wholesale channel. So the wholesale channel needs to understand that they are actually competing for that interest from these producers. And at the moment, we are probably the most complicated and expensive route in the eyes of the producer to service or give them a route to market. We sort of run the risk, I guess, of disencouraging producers to enter the channel because it's very complicated to them, and therefore reducing our choice as a producer, as a wholesaler, and therefore ending up with quite a narrow range of products, and that ends up as a commodity selling type scenario. The market's changed quite a lot over the last few years. So the retail multiple trade had a code of conduct imposed on them, which I guess you could argue who actually complies with it. But the reality is probably driven more by the discount retailers. The culture within the discount retailers for producers is such a simple, clean model, is very attractive to the producer. They basically put a price in, and then the discount retailer deals with it thereafter. So the pressure on the multiples, the big multiples, are trying to streamline their ways of working with the producer. So the producers need to be able to engage and understand you as a wholesaler to that effect. Good communication, feedback is essential, obviously, when having a business relationship. And none of us want to have time wasted. And I think there's maybe an element over the years being pestered by numerous producers not understanding the channel. There is a tendency for the wholesalers, either correctly or incorrectly, to be perceived by the producers as not interested or difficult to engage with. So really the pressure's on, I guess, the wholesale channel to make it a kind of go-to channel, first choice channel for those producers to attract the very best producers to the sector. So there's real benefits out with us, as I alluded to earlier there, about embracing local regional sourcing, and it ties into your carbon reduction, food miles, supporting local and regional sustainability, your social capital, community involvement, and that positive perception that can create, and also the cyclical economy. So if you are supporting local and regional suppliers, either in Scotland or local to you, that pound spent can then recycle into your customers, which then will spend more money with you. So at the moment, hopefully most of you will recognize some of these challenges if we're brutally honest with ourselves. At the moment, there's quite a few barriers that are coming across from producers that we've spoken with. So communication is one of the highest challenges or frustrations from the producer, and part of the program is to help the producer better communicate with the wholesaler in the first place and reduce that frustration from the wholesaler being bombarded with irrelevant questions or not relevant suppliers. So understanding the channel, the hidden costs. So when a producer comes along, a lot of these producers will operate traditionally, maybe as if they're a startup, on a dead net price. So is being upfront and honest and open with them about the promotional marketing investments they have. Wholesalers having tariff cards for investment in brand, more often than not, are disproportionate to a lot of the size or resources of these producers, and therefore discourages them to play with you. And then accessing customer data. A lot of the producers are really keen to work with the wholesalers in trying to mutually grow their business with those customers. And for various reasons, wholesalers are quite reluctant to share any sales data on their products. So I guess it's, if we take we'll all know the 80-20 rule. So 20% of your products are your high volume lines that contribute 80% of your sales volume or turnover. Now, if everybody is focused in on, and that tends to dominate the priorities of most wholesale, and I have to say I am generalizing here, so bear with me. It tends to focus the minds of the wholesaler on those high volume 20% lines. However, if everybody does that, then you sort of detract from the real strategic benefit of having those 80% of the SKUs who deliver only 20% of the volume, and therefore everybody sort of moves more towards commodity selling. So it's recognizing that the 80% of the smaller volume SKUs are actually the leverage to get the higher volume lines in and take away a lot of the attention on the price point. So the undervalued 80% of SKUs leverage the higher value, the higher volume 20% lines. The undervalued 80% of SKUs are as important as a differentiator in the marketplace, and none more so than in local and regional products where there's a real relevance to you. So we have some insights. We don't have enough time today, but there's lots and lots of insights and data that we've pulled from both the workshops and the producers and feedback. And we've had warts and all, but here are some of the comments that we've had. And I'm sure that most of you will recognize some of these comments. You've probably had them with a few of the producers over the years. But the key message is coming consistently back from the producers is the frustration over poor communication back from the wholesaler when they're trying to help grow mutual sales growth. Pricing expectations or clarity. Lack of transparency in terms of what you are doing as a wholesaler to work mutually with them, disproportionate fees. So if you're a producer that is getting £10,000 a year sales from a wholesaler and they're charging £2,000 of marketing costs, you wouldn't do that deal. And then sticking to payment terms was another one. So again, the feedback goes all the way back to the consumer. So there is plenty of data to support this, that there is a demand within a retail convenience setting and also a food service setting. And because the wholesale channel is so important for both of these areas, it's really important that the channel rises to the task. I'm going to hand over to Fergus now, who's going to outline the programme.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so I'm Fergus, and I come from the Scottish Agricultural Organisation Society. We're really at the producer end of things, and we help producers on their first journey, quite often farming producers, to developing a food product and things like that. So yeah, the programme has come about with this collaboration between ourselves and SWA and Scotland Food and Drink, and the programme we've really developed in parallel with two. The producer angle and the wholesale sort of angle working together, because we really wanted to get the most out of both sides. So we've run a couple of these workshops now, where the producers have registered. They've gone through two half-day workshops. They've utilized the manual we spent a lot of time developing. John did a large amount of the work on it, and then they've had these sort of what they say is very valuable one-to-one support to try and get them to really understand what they're trying to do and where their product might fit into wholesale, or if it might not fit into wholesale. We have actually had conversations with someone said, well, it's not a channel for you. And they'll also receive this logo at the end once they've been through the program. If they've done all these 4 things, then they've been through the training. So if you see that a producer coming to you with that logo, you know they should be understanding your sector. Yeah, so the program is absolutely fully aligned. We designed it to try and match what's happening with the producers and what's happening with you guys. We hope that you will nominate local food champions. and we've got this workshop coming up to really help people who will take on that role within your organizations, and that will link across with the producer workshop. Yeah, and then so the manual is also there for you following the workshop, and one-to-ones as well, which usually are about 3 hours of individual sort of confidential support. John's been doing most of them, and then yeah, Colin's going to talk about what the actual local food champion means, but it's been really good that SWA have managed to secure some funds to do that piece, because it's another real nice next step to the whole program. Yeah, so when we're talking about wholesalers, it's really up to you guys to decide who's the best person within your organization to take it forward. It could be someone in senior management, it could be an influencer within the business, it could be one of the buyers. It's not really that important who it is, as long as the person is the right person who's really going to try and drive and influence that change within your business. Ideally, we'd like to get everyone involved, but we know it's got to start somewhere. So that's the who we're driving this program at. And yeah, so we're really trying to demystify the process for the producers, and gain for you guys in the wholesale sector to help you gain a bit of an understanding for the producer angle. But what it should do is save you a lot of time. And when we've got everything producer-wise through the process, they should be coming to you with a much clearer proposition, and it should make things much more aligned to what you're needing. Final slide, I think. Yeah, so the workshop that we're delivering for the wholesalers will have it's 2 sort of half-day sessions again, and one will have the first day will have an insight into the market, then a particular focus after a break into your sort of strategy, and then in the second session we'll deal about engaging with producers and how they can be really challenging to deal with, but we'll give you some tools and tricks that hopefully will enable you to build a sort of a better partnership, and some supporting tools to take away from that. And at the end of the workshop, there is a Q&A, and then we'll summarize it all. And I think we've got a lot better at delivering these workshops. We've done them for a while now, so I think you'll find them pretty positive. The feedback we've had has all been really positive, and people have found a great ability to actually take the learning and translate it into new opportunities. So I hope you guys will put someone forward for it, and we'll see there.
Thanks, Fergus. What I'm going to do now is just give you a quick overview of the content and the tools and the support that is there, which is it's aligned fully with the producer one, so that it's the tools and everything are very much the same. So we tell the producers and emphasize that the wholesale channel, for those who don't understand it, are the kind of exclusive channel for the servicing public sector, contract catering, on trade, food service and retail convenience. We also understand a lot of the producers now, thanks to COVID, had created a market for themselves to go to direct to consumer, or even direct to the trade, and the importance of price points involved there. We talk about ranging, and we use the principles of good, better, best, which a lot of you who are dealing in the retail sector will understand. Those in the food service maybe not so familiar with it, but this is a really good tool to help the producer understand where their product's positioned within their own product group, but also can help the wholesaler understand as well. So we use this tool within the local food champions workshop, so that they understand the producers coming forward when they're actually referring to this. And part of the local food champion is giving them some advice in terms of how to prioritize ranges that are specifically relevant to them. Otherwise, you'll have a tsunami of producers coming to your door. So we also use you'll know yourself, a lot of producers will come, they'll get a listing with you and then sit back and hopefully all the sales happen. Part of the workshop, a big part of the workshop is emphasizing the fact that the work starts when the listing takes place. So we talk about push-pull tactics and on the basis that you're shouting that you're there as a producer, and then encouraging buy. We talk also about and give them some guidance on the use of unique selling points, but also equally the importance of key selling points, which a lot of the producers don't fully appreciate, and also those selling points that are relevant to the consumer, which can be very different to the end user, be them a convenience retailer or a food service operative, and which can be very different again to the wholesaler. So it's getting them as experts in their own product to extrapolate those key points of use, unique selling points and key selling points. So really, so giving the challenge to the producers, it's their job to make it easier for the buyer to buy. The buyer being the wholesaler, who tends to be a generalist covering thousands of products, hundreds of producers, and they need to be the expert and bring that guidance to the party. So the wholesalers need the producers' help in that regard. So in the program, we talk about the effective support for field sales, telesales, marketing, and promotional activity mechanics, how to educate and champion influencers within the business, the development of web and app activities within the wholesale channel, and building the bond between customer and the wholesaler. But we also talk about the non-logistical benefits of the wholesale channel. You're not just a box mover. We talk about consolidation, debt control, stock management, access to new markets that they may not have access to, the customer's convenience, be it consolidated invoicing or one point of contact or telesales, and ensuring product integrity, particularly if it's frozen or chilled. We give them a step-by-step guide on how to be more strategic and focused in identifying wholesalers that are a good fit. So if they've gone through a program and they've done their homework, they're knocking on your door because they've identified that you are a good fit to them. So what we would say is afford them the time of day because they have done the research. So we go through a step-by-step. Part of that is closely tied into the SWA directory, which you'll be aware of, and I believe is imminently about to go live. And this will aid the producer being able to filter through the wholesalers. And so, for example, if it's an alcohol producer, they can click the alcohol element of the filter, which will take out all those wholesalers who don't have an alcohol license. Or if they're a chilled product, they're able to tick the chill capability, and so on and so forth. So the directory is an extension effectively of the membership summaries or profiles. So the producer can come in and they can use this filtering capability here. So the tool itself is already set up, but it's not live just yet. So if you haven't already, if you can help John Farrell and Colin help populate it, the sooner we can get all the members' data populated into the directory, the sooner it can go live and be functioning. So it's basically about understanding wholesale people and developing the trust between the producer and the wholesaler. So really trying to instill a business-to-business relationship rather than a buyer-seller traditional relationship. So engaging fully with the business and being part of the business where possible. We talk about joint business plans. So within the manual, this is the wholesaler manual. And so this would go to your local food champion within the business, and it gives you a kind of step-by-step or checklist of key components within a joint business plan. And likewise, we have a self-audit table, which is a kind of list of do we, don't we, can we, can't we, should we, shouldn't we, a checklist in terms of dealing with the producers. And it's fully aligned with the producer self-audit as well. I'm going to hand over to Colin.
Thanks, John. Okay, So John and Fergus have ran through sort of the whole of the Delivering Growth Through Wholesale project. Listening to it just now with a fresh pair of ears, there may have been some confusion as to what we were describing or what's been described. There's two elements to the Delivering Growth programme. One is that education piece of the local producers. Now, local isn't necessarily just local within your town, village or geographic area. A local producer is in essence a Scottish producer, someone ideally based in Scotland and who is looking to grow and expand their route to market, ideally through wholesale. So we've developed this programme to educate the producer on the wholesale channel and then allow them to go out and identify through that wholesale director that John was talking about who might be a good fit. So they then come to you saying, right, I've gone through the programme, here's my certificate, because that's another thing that we're going to be giving those people along with that logo, is that certificate say, I've done it, I understand your channel, and actually I'm ready to talk to you. So I think. And on the flip of that is the actual education training of you, a wholesaler, to understand the benefits of actually engaging with local producers, having that as a strategic part of your business operation. And it goes back to what John originally talked about at the start, that sort of the commercial benefits of having local producers, Scottish producers within your business. So what I'm going to talk about here is just the element of you, the wholesaler, engaging with that producer and developing that, having someone within your business that can be that first point of contact, and it's not necessarily a buyer. So just before I go into what we're talking about in terms of these local food champions, just going back to this whole programme, as I said at the very start, it's part of our strategy to help develop and create opportunities for our sector, for you, our members. This programme aligns with our commitments and our pillars of greatness. So I've put them on the slide there just to help understand where this programme and indeed our decarbonisation strategy fits within everything that we are here to do for you as a trade body. So it is about, everything we are doing is being great, doing everything great for wholesale. It protects and develops our industry, gives you, our member, that return on investment. You are a member, you pay a membership fee. What does that return on investment look like? Yeah, we're trying to work with government and stop where we can. Legislation doesn't always work. So what other things can and should we be working on? And then, so it then ties in, obviously, with our pillars, our three key pillars of greatness, that loving legislation piece, which we've spoken about, but it also it's not just about sustainability and creating lower food miles. It is also about the economic transformation. This also fits into the health of our economy and the well-being of consumers throughout Scotland. It fits into our training academy. This is providing training for your people, and creating opportunities for your staff to have them, not just give them a better understanding of wholesale, but actually giving them a place within your business to actually make a difference. And it's about going back and helping grow and develop your business as its entirety. So in addition, I guess, touching on the government again, it does align to their ambitions of a just transition to net zero by 2045 and creating food security for the people of Scotland. You and the association, everyone else in our supply chain, are critical to the success of Scotland's economy and in meeting the objectives bestowed upon us by them. And that is why we really do need you to embrace the programme and create these wholesale local food champions within your business. So John, yeah, you've got that up there, that's great. So these local wholesale food champions really will be that conduit between your buyers and local producers to be that potential, that first point of contact. Apologies, I can't do anything about that phone. I don't. So yeah. rip it out from the wall. I hear somebody say. Yeah, there we go.
Is that the bat phone?
That was indeed. Yeah, that was. Yeah, it's okay. It's going to make a bad joke. Yeah,
that was Nicola on the phone saying DRS is cancelled all the way
I was going to make it.
What have you done?
Yeah, but then I'm remembering this is recorded and this could end up somewhere that we don't want it. So yeah, sorry, losing the sort of track, but going back to the actual slide, then these wholesale local food champions as an SWA initiative. It's fully backed and financially supported by Scottish Government. So they're putting this investment in. They've seen the success of the delivering growth through wholesale in terms of what it's done for producers, enabled them to grow their market. We've already seen that through many of our members and the sales that we're starting to capture and feed back into government. So it was very much now about, right, what do we need, what can further unlock the benefits of this initiative? Well, it was about having key people within our wholesale members. So the government are backing up to 40 of these food champions to be created within our membership, within your business. So these, I think it's fair to say earlier, can be existing senior people. It could be buyers or even people within your marketing team. But I see it as actually someone that's looking for career development. Someone that's looking for a new opportunity, potentially someone that's already out there in the field, maybe one of your sales development reps looking for the next step up. And it's about increasing their knowledge, not just about of the wholesale channel that John's gone through, but really understanding the benefits to your business of embracing local Scottish producers and using that as a differentiation versus competitors, and indeed the competing channels that those producers have access to. So we see them being in the ambassadors within your business, that first point of contact, and being able to identify the opportunities and actually help potentially even the buying team sift out those that aren't relevant to your business or right for your business, so that saving that buyer time and it's money having to sit and listen to a sales pitch that just isn't going to go anywhere. And actually, ultimately, these people could be today's rising star within your awards. We had our Achievers Awards last week, which was the best ever in our 20 years. So that rising star of today actually could be next year's wholesale local food champion, and where we're introducing that new award at our Achievers 2024. If you just go on to the next slide, John. Similar to the producer, the producers, each food champion would go through a 2 half-day workshop to understand more of the detail that we presented earlier. They again will be given the slide deck and manual to share or to refresh their memory, and also to share within your business, hopefully educate some of your colleagues or their colleagues within your business on the benefits of a local supplier strategy. And to help further develop the knowledge and give support after the workshops, we will be offering them direct one-to-one support similar to those to the producers that John spoke of. So as bespoke training, it will be unique to the person and to your business. Some members already have champions, local food champions already there, fully recognise that and fully support it. What this allows them to do is actually get one-to-one support in other areas that they might not be so competent in, such as marketing or such like. John, I don't know, you might want to come in. You're the one that's providing a lot of that one-to-one support in the different areas that people might need.
So like the producer program, the workshops and manual are general, so they're covering quite a broad spectrum of different types of wholesalers and different types of producers. The one-to-one element is quite important because every producer is in a different place on their journey, different sizes, different challenges, and so on, and likewise so the wholesalers. So the one-to-one would be as an example, scenarios could be it's a seminar that is covering the nuts and bolts of the delivering growth through wholesale, so that a team, be it the buyer, marketing, commercial managers, are sort of getting the overview and the intention of the program. It could be an individual within the business who you're looking to nurture and develop and give an opportunity to, as Colin alluded to, become the next rising star, and giving them some real breadth of experience and scope in a project to really get their teeth into. Or it could be a sales team that is maybe challenged to understand the real commercial benefits to them of having a local regional sourcing strategy, and maybe upselling or relationships with local or Scottish producers to fully maximise what they can bring to the party. So it's very much tailored to your business and where you think the best opportunities are to focus in on. So the one-to-one bespoke support is that bespoke.
Thanks, Sean. I think that covered it. Okay, so look, sort of near the end now, so hopefully that's given you a good idea of not just the programme and what it involves, the detail that we're giving and educating the producers on, but also the detail and understanding that hopefully these wholesale local food champions will come away with as well, and actually help develop and grow your sales and opportunities within your business. So next stages, it is a case of ideally asking you to identify who your wholesale local food champion might be. Registration will be opening shortly, and ideally we're looking to get those nominations in by the 17th of March. We will send out the details of how you can register those at the start of the week. Registration, so those that are successful will get registration links and details of the workshops. We commence on the 20th, and the first part of the workshop will be Thursday, the 23rd of March, followed by the second half of the programme on Friday, the 24th of March. There will, as I said, there's 40 opportunity of 40 champions being developed across the membership. The first tranche will be 20, the first 20 will go through on the 23rd, 24th. We'll then hold another tranche probably April or into May. And then we're looking to hold another Meet the Wholesaler event sometime in August. So these are dates for your diary. And I think that we are near the end of that. I know, John, there's another slide with summary, but I think we have held people long enough, and I might actually just go straight to the questions and answer session. So anyone that needs any clarity on what has been discussed.
Can I just say, Colin, that the programme, the intention is that the producers go through the programme and they then are given a certificate of attendance, which is the Delivering Growth Through Wholesale logo that you can see there. They only get that if they complete all three elements of the programme, so that they, we're confident that they actually understand that it's not just a tick box. They're not just on the Zoom call and doing other work just to say they've attended. Likewise, the intention would be for the wholesaler's local food champion to do the same. And the idea is that when either party see that logo, they both can talk the same language and they get each other, so that the wholesaler will afford the producer the time, but likewise the wholesaler's confident that that producer actually knows what is expected of them.
Thanks, John. That's a good point. Yes, this is about trying to standardise language across complicated sector. Still recognising you might do your own thing, but we're there to help. So yeah, anyone got any questions on what's being presented? And please don't be embarrassed if you're ended up being more confused than actually given clarity. I guess it's a bit like DRS. no clarity there either.
Colin, what does
Yes.
success look like? What's the end goal? What's the government going to say, or what's the backers going to say? You know, that's where we are. So, you know, if you use, you know, whatever percentage of your sales are from local at the moment, is it moving the bar? Is it moving what you know? Because obviously this is the first round of this. You want to be successful. You want to make it all come to life, but clearly there's got to be a goal at the end of it. So what, you know, you can't play lip service to this. We've got to come back with some real tangibles to say we invested X and we've returned on Y. Just the same as, you know, right the way through. So please, I'm just trying to get what's your ambition? What's the goal? What do we need to do? And again, there's, from my point of view, yeah, we've talked very much at the wholesale level, which is fine. You've gone wholesale, buyer, but actually there's a bit in terms of the shop as well. How do we get that in the market? And, you know, I know that it's got to go right through the supply chain from our point of view, you know, so just, I'm just playing around, just asking the question, sorry.
No, you're absolutely right, Stephen, and obviously being on the steering group and helping us develop this programme has been invaluable. So the ambition, so at the outset, when we first started developing this, we did a temperature check of sort of try to get a baseline of Scottish sales within wholesale. So we are around about 30% at a Scottish level within our membership. 30% of sales come from Scottish product. Now, we've got some members, yourself included, where that is a higher percentage within your business. And what the programme is designed to do is to get to take the sector on the journey, to get that the wholesale sector at around about 50%. We've actually not put in stone to government or anyone where we want to get that to. It's fluid. Because there'll be different wholesalers will have that different opportunity depending on the sector that the supplier that the end user they supply into. But ideally we would like to see the industry at 50%. So that would be, you know, another 20% on where we are currently, and that would be over the next sort of three years. So when people come in, when you nominate your wholesale local food champion, one of the things that we will be asking is, approximately what percentage of your sales are of Scottish product? Now, clearly, you know, that includes whisky and tenants, and that there might be a big proportion if you're a licensed wholesaler. So we're trying to get a baseline, and then we can start and monitor over, you know, the next 3 years how your sales are developing. So that's where that return on investment. So government are investing in you, we're investing in that support of your business, but we need to see how we're progressing. That then starts to unlock other investment in the future. And I'm specifically talking about one of the things that we would ideally like to see is direct investment in wholesalers to overcome some of the challenges that you maybe have to sort of compensate for that. Maybe John was talking about the advertising allowances that might not be so palatable for local producers. Well, actually, is that something that we can get investment for to help, you know, maintain a margin expectation within your business? I don't know if that answers it, or John, if you want to come in on anything else.
Yeah, I think it's important to note as well that so you've got the wholesaler data capture to measure and monitor success. But there's also with the producers, all the producers will have a follow-up survey which will be done to map out the success through their experiences as well. So that we're taking it sort of from a wholesaler perspective, but also from a producer perspective and their outputs.
Yeah, and the other thing to say as well, that this programme is very much about government recognising that there's been a lot of investment put in at the front end. So the Go Local campaign run by the Scottish Grocers Federation, that's about having them ready, growing their market as you're aware, Stephen, of local products. But actually, what's the point in investing in the front end if you've not invested in our channel, the one that's supplying into the convenience? So that's where it's about that push and that pull. So it's that joined up thinking. So there's a recognition, actually, the government are investing in both sides. So we're getting aligned to the other activities that are going on and the end users that we are supplying into.
Yeah. Likewise, there's a few key suppliers or a few key industries that have had a lot of challenges recently. You know, so if I use Rowan Glen down in Dumfries, you know, closed, whatever. Pork industry probably a challenge at the moment. You know, how do they? You know, there's only one real pork processing plant now. Is there certain sectors that, again, that the administration, so government, that need a bit of a case study as to how you can reverse what maybe be seen as possibly terminal decline, or am I just being too altruistic out there? You know, I'm just asking the question, you know, or is there certain things that would tick a few boxes and actually sustain and potentially turn around maybe a sector that's been challenged recently? You know, that's all.
Fergus, you might want to contribute to that.
You know, i.e., if you can grow me
SWA.
tomatoes today, I'll take as many as you can give me. Peppers as well, and cucumber. Yeah, that's it there. But, you know, so joking apart, you know, we used to have Clyde Valley growers, we used to have the tomato industry, we used to have all these things. We don't have them anymore, and guess what? We've no tomatoes. You know, you get what I'm trying to say. It's how do we plug a hole? We seem to be working with further down the supply, with the producers, with the farmers, with it all the way around the supply chain, and then back up again, and actually have a sustainable, you know, your sustainable interlinked economy. That's what you're trying to get to. So.
No, well, I think that exactly right, because what wholesalers can demonstrate is this long-term relationship and this understanding of the producer, whereas we've had two national crises around eggs and around salad produce, and they're all being touted, oh, it's an international problem, or it's this or it's that, but it's the key problem is that the multiples haven't engaged with the producers to pay them the right money for their increased cost of production, whereas the understanding that wholesalers have of being closer to their producers is a message we should champion through the SWA and others, I think. So we haven't specifically sort of target, you know, a lot of this came from initially the food tourism strategy, really wanting to try and increase the amount of availability of Scottish food products in Scottish hospitality, and that was every product. But, you know, I don't think it's a bad idea for us to have a look at a wee case study of a particularly challenged sector.
Yeah, well, we've not been out of eggs, so I'm only going to say that, but, you know, I'm on the phone to them quite often, and we have a wee blether at 12 o'clock at night just to negotiate how we're going to get a trunker of eggs down, but we've never been out. I use that as an example, and I've been, we haven't, you know, CJ Lang have not been out of eggs, touch wood for Michael, whatever, you know, I'm not saying that won't turn around, but actually it's a demonstration of where we've actually tried to work with the supplier right the way through, you know, we've been.
I think that, you know, that's maybe something we should be doing, trying to tell that story as a case study alongside this project of the importance of the relationship between producer and wholesaler, and it being much stronger than the multiple route, the multiple channel. Yeah. And, you know, that will encourage more Scottish producers to think, well, I don't want to be screwed by a multiple again. One of
the big messages, sorry, Fergus, one of the big messages as part of the one-to-ones and the workshop to the producers is that wholesale is very different from the multiple sector. You can have those conversations if you have got challenges. And the sooner you have those conversations, the better. The culture of the wholesaler is, tell me what the problem is. I might not like it, but I'll roll my sleeves up and work with you to try and protect our collective customer, and come up, and things like your stock holding, if it's ambient or longer shelf life product, you may be holding a buffer stock, but have those conversations. You know, this is not a Tesco scenario. Even if you've got a problem that may happen and doesn't actually, you know, materialize, you know, working together in a much more cooperative and open way, like you are, Stephen, with the eggs, can ensure smooth supply to the end user stroke consumer.
Yeah, and I think just going back to the original question, that there is work that we're doing with SAOS and just identifying opportunities of wholesalers that can take, you know, certain, well, I'll say meat. I think venison was an example that there's a problem within, you know, that side of things, and getting it slaughtered and actually getting a route to market for it. So we're looking at, right, how can we help? And that's also where, you know, we have regular, or I have regular meetings with the food and drink team in the Scottish Government, and specifically looking at the public sector contracts and school challenges within the schools, hospitals and supply issues. And that's proven invaluable that we've got this link now, because where the wholesale channel was getting hit over the head, yeah, because of challenges that weren't our fault, it was supply chains further up. Because we are the person delivering, we were the ones that were being criticised within government by those the public sector. But now that we've got that open communication, we can actually say, well, actually, this is the situation, you know, in Europe. That's why you're not getting the tomatoes, or why the price increases are going through the roof, etc. So we've got a much better relationship, and actually much better opportunity for getting resolution on some of the issues and creating new market opportunities. Fergus, I see you've come off mute.
Yeah, no, I just think there's opportunities for us to tell the story. I think we could do some case studies. It'd be quite interesting to know, you know, how many wholesalers actually run out of eggs during the crisis, and probably they didn't run out of eggs because they had better relationships. You know, so there's a lot to be said. So we should think about it.
Okay, well, it's been a very interesting conversation. Any other questions or thoughts on what's been presented? And indeed, actually, does this sound like something that you want to get involved in, that you will support and put an employee or even two employees up for going through the programme and becoming your wholesale local food champion?
We'll certainly support it, Colin. It's something we'd be interested in doing. But one thing I'd mentioned there, picking up on Stephen's point, is having it right through to the end, because we can buy a local and we can maybe try and sell it into contract caterers or to food service companies, but how are they promoting that? So there's go local for retail, but how's a cafe or whatever promote the fact that it's a local product? And quite often they'll be like, I just want ham, or I just, you know, because they're not getting anything from it. But if they can promote it in their window, or there's some kind of way of advertising that's standardized, like the Go Local campaign, that would be of help to us.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And Gillian.
Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Fergus. That was very interesting. And I think actually very key. I've been speaking to a local producer in the last few weeks with an excellent couple of products that they're desperate to get to market, and we were just explaining, you know, how the wholesale market can support them. So I'm quite pleased to think that a majority of what you said on that list of why you want to get into wholesale, I managed to cover off in the discussion. So it's more about, you know, we're still in discussions about that. My question is, how are you capturing the producers to come on your program, so as a wholesaler we know how to capture them, if that makes sense? You possibly alluded to that, because obviously there'll be then directories from a signposting point of view, but it's just quite interesting that it's perfect timing. So I'm keen for the business, and you're right about the career development is exciting as well, because I think we all get busy doing what we know, and sometimes we just have to step back and look out, and actually we need to get these producers who've got some excellent products to market, but they don't know how to break those barriers. So yes, how I want to keep this information for me, because this is an excellent product, but I've got to be honest to say, well, are we the right partner for them? And if we're not, we would signpost them to say, actually, you want to get onto this program because that's the route you want to go, and then we've got opportunities to look at other producers for ours. So does that hopefully make sense? There was a few bits and pieces in there, but it was more about how we capture the conversation, if you like. Thank you.
John.
Gillian, that's really a really important point you made, because I've had a couple of conversations in the last few weeks where there's maybe been either not misinformation but misunderstanding from certain producers that they need to be a member of Scotland Food and Drink, and that's not Scotland Food and Drink saying that at all. It's just the perception is. So this is not for Scotland Food and Drink members. It's open to all producers of all sizes, because remember, you guys would have had the same discussions with some of the very large wholesalers, and that's why we used AJ Bars as part of the case study, and how they transformed their business through understanding the wholesale channel back in 2004. So if you have any producers, actively encourage them to put their names forward to either Colin and his team, or through Scotland Food and Drink, or we can link them up for the next round of workshops. So please encourage them, because the idea is that you don't have to spend all your valuable time having to explain some of the, you know, the nuts and bolts of how to, you know, to do wholesale. So we cover right from understanding their customer, who's their customer, to where does their customer then shop or consume, so the touch points. And the biggest challenge for producers to date has been, okay, who services those touch points, because the wholesale channel is a dark art. You see vehicles chundering up and down all over the place, and Joe Public doesn't know where they're going, what's in them, and who they're servicing. So the tool with the SWA directory is going to hopefully make that much more visible for them and prevent lots of expensive wasted meetings and time that can be otherwise dealt with by educating them about the channel. So it's a really important point there, Gillian. It's not specifically a Scotland Food and Drink member. It's open to all producers, and please direct them through either Colin's team at the SWA or directly to even Scotland Food and Drink or even myself as a kind of intermediary.
Yeah,
I will do. Thank you for that, because like I said, I'd like to keep it for me.
In saying that, Gillian, in saying that, if you're the local food champion program is fully aligned to the producer one, so anybody who goes on the local food champion will be completely tooled up with the sort of format and language and tools that they will use or gain. So you'll be able to filter out who is relevant to.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And we will take that on board. I mean, Eova, who's on the call, sort of head of sustainability and engagement, and so helping with the redoing our comm strategy. So that will be something that we'll feed into that. We need to be more proactive, and we will be on the back of this investment in the local food champions, and telling our members, look, if you have a Scottish producer, large or small, direct them to us, and we can put them on this training course. And indeed, actually, if they were actually full SWA supplier members, that would be even greater, because that not just helps us as a membership organisation, but actually can actually help open more doors for them. And I get, you're saying you want to keep them for yourself, and a lot of wholesalers and even producers maybe just want to stay with somebody they know and they trust, and don't want to go to be seen being competitive or yeah. I think though the whole benefit of having people educated on wholesalers' route to market and actually being distributed through many wholesalers, not necessarily all, but many, is actually that growth that then enables them to become more competitive, offer you better pricing, structure, support, and everything else that you might want. So it benefits everyone.
It's amazing how many producers have traditionally gone door knocking without any clue as to who the wholesaler is and what they do, and when you explain to them to be a little bit more targeted and focused, then that eliminates that conflict of interest that you will find, because they're partnered up with a more appropriate wholesaler to their business. As part of the process, they've also identified and respected your competitors, so that there's not going to be or there's a reduced risk of a conflict.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm just conscious of time. We are at the scheduled end. Is there any last minute questions or thoughts from anyone? No? Okay, look, thanks very much everyone for joining us. I hope you will get on board with the programme and support it, and actually please tell everyone about it, because this is a fantastic initiative. It's great to have the investment from government in the association and your business. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you all on the programme, or one of your colleagues on the programme in the very near future. Thank you.
Thank you.